Then for this session on compensation and reward management, we are approaching towards the end of this particular course. So dealing with this 12th unit of this compensation and reward management. We have already discussed in the 11th unit, we have discussed the basic methods in which the organizations do make a payment to the workers, to the employees of the organization. And today in this session, we will discuss the various incentive schemes, as we have understood that people are motivated by the monetary and non-monetary benefits that they receive from the organization. So what kind of incentives should we adopt so that it will motivate the employees towards the achievement of the goal is what we are going to discuss today. So as to say, if we talk of this incentive schemes that are being applied in the organizations, we say that it is a method to motivate or to stimulate the individuals, or maybe when it is administered in a group, so it is to motivate the team to the acceptable standards of their performances. We say that as we understand that its motivation is a inner desire of the employees to perform, inner desire of the employees to achieve certain goals of their life, achieve the goals of their organization. So we say that this incentive system provides certain extra benefit, extra payment, extra rewards against the extra performance, the boosted performance that is performed by the individual employees along with the regular wages and salaries. So these incentives are administered beyond the wages and salaries that are normally been practiced in the organizations. And whenever we do talk of this incentive administration, we say these incentives can be administered in three different ways altogether, right? One is the individual level of incentives, where we do say that individuals like sales incentives, performance bonus, attendance bonus, all of those things can be taken into consideration. Incentives can be administered at group level also, where we do talk of this group level of incentives like production incentives, cost reduction incentives, etc., etc. Or these incentives can also be administered at organizational level. It is for all the employees of the organization, where we say it's profit sharing, ESOPs, some of the organizational level of incentives that are normally been administered by the organizations. So the basic aspect of this incentive administration is that we need to think of these incentives to be administered in both monetary and non-monetary ways, and certain factors like the timing, accuracy, frequencies, they are to be considered for development of a good incentive scheme, basic incentive scheme. But we need to understand one thing, that whenever we are administering any such aspect of this compensation and reward management, a prior consultation with the trade union is must, to avoid any kind of grievances or disputes of the employees. So trade unions or the employees unions must be consulted, and proper communication should be there so that people do understand what sort of incentives they are going to get, and proper feedback for the review of this plan as per the requirement of the organization. So these are the things that we need to take into consideration before administering these incentive schemes at the organizational level. Here we have understood in the previous class also, we have understood the same thing, like the wage payments can be done on the basis of time, on the basis of fees, or on the basis of both, balanced step method, what we have understood. Now, if you do understand the basic incentive plans, it is divided into two different categories. One is industrial incentive or the individual level of incentive plans, and the second one is group incentive plans, right? Individual incentive plans are based on two concepts, like based on time and based on productivity performances, right? So we do have Halsey plan, Rohn plan, Emerson plan, Bidux plan. These are the incentive schemes based on time. Similarly, Taylor's plan, Merrick's plan, Grant's plan, these are the incentive schemes what we need to understand, which are based on the performances of individual. Under group incentive schemes, we do have profit sharing and ESOPs, employees stock option plans. Different organizations to administer it with a different kind of nomenclature, but the concept remaining same. So these are the incentive schemes that we are going to discuss for this today's session. So to start with, individual incentive schemes based on time. So FILC, who for the first time proposed this concept and popularly known as Halsey plan, it is completely based on the efficiency of the worker in terms of the time he is taking to complete his job, or in terms of the time he is saving at the job or carrying out a particular job. Okay. So the base concept of these incentive schemes are like the job analysis should have been done in a proper way. Right? So through proper time study, motion study, the actual time taken for a particular job for its completion has to be in the absence of these scientific ways. Your past performances, past records can also be taken as a deciding factor that what is the time required for the completion of that particular job. And if the worker completes the job as per the standard time, right? So the worker is provided with that guaranteed time wage or minimum time wage, whatever has been defined, right? And if the worker saves certain time at the place of work to carry out that particular job, then an additional 50% bonus or incentive is given based on the time saved by the worker at the place of work itself. So it is calculated on the concept like if the standard time is less than or more than that of the actual time. If the actual time taken by the employee is less than that of the standard time, that means the employee is efficient enough. He has saved certain time which can be utilized other way in the organization, right? And if the actual time taken by the employee is more than that of the standard time, in that case, the employee is not rated to be efficient. Okay? So based on this, the concept says the incentives are calculated on the basis of like the total wage is equal to T multiplied by R and 50% of S minus T multiplied by R, where we say that the T is the total time taken by the worker, R is the rate of payment per hour time based, and S is the standard time for the completion of the job. So what this formula says, T into R, so time taken by the employee to complete the job, and R is the rate of payment per hour. Right? Let us say out of an 8-hour scheduled job, the employee has completed a particular job assigned to him in 6 hours. So in that case, if the hourly rate is somehow we say 50 rupees per hour. Right? So if the worker would have been working for 8 hours, he would have got 400 rupees. But working for 6 hours, he is getting 6 into 50, 300 rupees. But another 50% of the total time he is saving. That means what? He is saving here 2 hours. So 50% is 1 hour. So additional 50 rupees is given to that particular employee for saving the time. Right? So here, if the worker completes the job in 6 hours time, so instead of 300 rupees, the employee will get 350 rupees. Right? That is how it is calculated. So based on time, we come out with another one concept, that is Rowan's plan. So this is just a modified Halsey plan. Here you can see here the amount of incentive which are to be given to the workers are calculated in different ways. In Halsey plan, a fixed amount, 50% of the time saved, has been taken as a consideration for the calculation of incentive plans. But in Drone plan, actually it is based on a ratio of the total time saved by the employee as compared to the standard time. So in Halsey plan, what we were having is like uh, anyone who completes the job out of a standard working hour of 8 hours, anyone who completes the job in 6 hours, he was also being paid at a 50% rate. Anyone who completes the job in 7 hours, or anyone who completes the job in 5 hours, everyone was paid at 50% rate. But here, Rohn proposed that no, if someone is completing the job in 5 hours and someone is completing the job in 6 hours, their efficiencies are different. So why not to make the incentive administration based on the efficiencies of the worker? Yeah. So the formula was modified a bit. We say it's T into R total payment, like, but the standardizations are same. T for the total time taken, R is rate per hour, S is the standard time taken by the employee to complete the job. So the total wage will be calculated like T into R, right? And then T into R multiplied by the total time saved by the standard time. So if the employee is working for 8 hours and completes the job in 5 hours, so the ratio will be 3 by 8. But if the same employee will complete the job in 6 hours, the ratio will be 2 by 8. So here the amount of incentive will be more as you will save more time at the place of work itself. Okay? So it is a ratio calculated not on a fixed percentage, it is calculated on a ratio of the total time saved by the individuals as against the standard time. Besides, as I said, that this time study, motion study, method study, process study, all of those should be adopted to define the minimum time taken by the job for its completion. The base is that. We will talk of the third plan based on this time, incentive plan based on this time is emission efficiency plan. Process remaining same, right? Emerson proposed that we cannot expect 100% contribution from each and every employee on each and every day. It may so happen that some of the employees may fall sick, some of the employees may be distracted, so that may affect their efficiency or that may affect their productivity at the place of work itself, right? So here what it happens, Emerson say that anyone who has accomplished the said target, right, in less than the time are to be paid incentives, but someone who has not saved time, right, but up to a particular time frame is completing the job, in that case also certain incentives to be administered. So he defined three category of incentives for the workers. So anyone who comes up with 75% of efficiency are to be paid with 10%. The workers whose efficiency is between 75% to 100%, they have to be paid with 20% of incentives, additional benefit. And the worker who performs beyond 100% efficiency, so the worker has to be paid with 30% bonus incentives, right? So that means what? On a standard day, right? If the standard working hours are defined to be 8 hours, right? So someone who is achieving his efficiency at 75% level means someone who completes the job beyond 10 hours, he will be paid with 10% efficiency, right? And someone who completes the job between 10 hours to 8 hours, he will be paid with 20%, right? And someone who performs the job in 7 hours or 6 hours or 5 hours, whose efficiency is more than 100%, he has to be paid with this 30%, right? So different performance levels and different sort of payment method, different sort of incentives are to be administered for the employees of the organization, right? So here the total wage is calculated as T multiplied by R, where T is the total time taken, R is the rate per hour, and S is the standard time. So T multiplied by R plus percentage of bonus as it is defined, whether it will be 30% or 20% or 10%, as it is defined as per the standard efficiency of the worker according to the time saved, right? Then percentage of bonus multiplied by T multiplied by R. So individual incentive schemes are modified, right? And for the end, we do have this BIDOX plan, where we say that BIDOX has come out with a different sort of proposal altogether. He said that if the employee is working, right, employee is producing, worker is producing, right? So there are contributions from the supervisor, but make the worker to accomplish his task, right? So if at all the worker is saving certain time, so the entire credit will not go to the worker only, it will also go to the supervisor. So it is based on the supervisor and the worker could be able to achieve its goals in less than the standard time lesson, right? So builders propose that whatever incentive schemes that we are going to adopt, right, based on the time saved. So 25% of that should also go to the supervisor and 75% should go to the worker. Okay. So what about the total incentives? Incentives will be like R into S minus T. S minus T is the time saved, right? So if we do say that same, R is say 50 rupees and S is 8, T is the actual time taken 5, right? So T like S minus T is equal to 8 minus 5, 3 multiplied by 50, right? 150. But BIDOX says out of that 150 points, 75% should go to the worker and 25% should go to the supervisor, right? So that is the base of the calculation of this incentive schemes, like BIDOX point plan. So these are the 4 such methods what are based on individual methods, which are based on the time concept itself, right? But we do have other incentive schemes, right, which are based on the productivity of the employees itself, based on the productivity of the employees. So when we consider the productivity of the employees or the individual incentive schemes based on the performances itself, now the concept can be traced back to the scientific era, F.W. Taylor, right? Where for the first time this Taylor comes out with a concept called differential piece rate system. Differential piece rate system. What is that differential piece rate system? Now again, through the same process, this standard workload is calculated for each and every employee based on time study, motion study. And after having that standard workload for the employees, right, two different piece rate systems of piece rate systems of payment are administered. Now, there's a lower piece rate system for all those workers who are average or less efficient, right? And there's a higher rate of the payment for those workers who are above the efficiency level, above the efficiency level. Right? Say, for example, if the workers are given with a target of, producing, say, 10 tons of product per day, right? So, if the workers will produce 10 tons of product, or say, for example, it may be difficult to calculate, right? Sometimes you do refer to these agarbatti manufacturing units, hand rolled agarbattis, right? So, if the worker is given a target to, roll at least 1,000 such pieces of agarbattis in a day, right? The worker who, produces, say, 850 such, agarbatti sticks in a day, and the worker who produces 1,200 sticks per day, you need to think of their efficiency. The employee who is producing less number of agarbattis is less efficient. The employee which is producing more number of agarbattis is more efficient. Right? Now, what Taylor had introduced is that, all those workers who produce or who meet the standard or less than that, right? For them, a differential piece rate would be there, and those who are meeting the standard and above, for them, a differential piece rate would be there. Say, 1,000 units, right? We will talk of, say, per unit, even if we are charging, 2 rupees. So Taylor says, okay, all those workers who will produce less than 1,000 units shall be paid with 2 rupees, and all those workers who are producing 100 or more than that will be paid at 3 rupees or 2 rupees 50 paise. Now, look at the differences. The difference is that per unit it is only, 50 paise difference. But when I do calculate it considering the total number of sticks rolled, so all those employees who are producing less than that of 1,000 are getting lesser payment than those employees who are producing more than 1,000, right? So this method is applied to motivate the employees towards the higher production process, right? By any means, employees of the organization should not, leave the standard, productivity. So anyone who is producing less than that of the standard are getting much lesser than that. So at least you go achieve the standard target or anything beyond that, right? Like that only. So this differential piece rate system, they had given a thrust to other such theories of incentive administration. We come out with this Eric's multiple plan, where we have understood is like Emerson's plan was there, different efficiency level and different payment system. So here also, Merrick proposed that there should be piece rate systems based on grades. So graded piece rate systems are to be administered. Anyone who is producing 83% of his efficiency or the standard output should be paid with the basic rate, that is 100%, right? But anyone who is producing more than that of the, 83% to 100 kind of thing, right? They should be paid at 110% of the basic, right? And anyone who is producing more than the standard output itself, he or she has to be paid at 120% of the basic piece rate, right? So there are three different, we have understood it, in time incentives based on time also it was there. So three important or three ways in which we administer this Merrick's multiple plan. 80%, 83% of the productivity or less than 83% of the productivity, no additional benefit, only the standard output will be there. 83 to 100% of the productivity, 110% of the basic base rate, right? And producing more than the standard, that will make them 120% of the basic base rate system. So Merrick's multiple plan is calculated on that. And we do have this, you know, individual incentive schemes in a different way, where it says that Gantt's tax and bonus plan, what it says that if the worker who fails completely to do the task within the standard time, right? So he receives the payment as per the specified rate, piece rate systems. But if the actual time spent will be less or the productivity will be more, then the worker can be provided with an incentive which may vary from 20% to 50% of their hourly rate. So these variations are based on the productivity of the workers itself. Variations are based on the productivity of the workers, right? So maybe the incentive schemes based on time, maybe the incentive schemes based on the productivity, but the thrust is to motivate the employees so that they can contribute their best towards the organizational productivity. Now we will move to the group incentive schemes, where one of the important aspects of this group incentive scheme is profit sharing. The concept was not new to the administration. Like, we do talk of Gandhian philosophy. You know, our father of nation is a great trade union leader also beyond his political identity. Right? So Gandhiji, during the Britishers' time, he said that the enterprise or the organizations, they do not belong to any such individual like person, but they belong to the society, right? So he proposed the concept of trusteeships. He said the employees should treat themselves as the trustees, and the the employers should treat themselves as the co-owners. What is the objective? Objective is that if at all the workers, no, if at all the organizations do earn a profit, it is entirely because of the workers, their productivity. So, if the organizations are making a profit out of their productivity, why not it is to be shared with the workers, right? So here, the profit made by the organization are shared among all the members who have contributed towards that profit maximization, right? So these are the things that you need to take into consideration for this profit sharing scheme. But the main features are like we have understood that there has to be a proper agreement between the employer and the employee, right? And agreement in a sense, the involvement of the union should be there, because most of the grievances related to industrial disputes are because of this compensation and reward management. So main features, profit sharing here, agreement would be there. Eligibility of the employee to receive the profit, right, has to be fixed based on their years of experience. The employer to honor the mutually agreed profit sharing formula. That means what? Sometimes what this schemes which have been formulated are formulated in confined courtrooms, right? And they're not being communicated. So the employers must honor the profit sharing formula itself. Now, even sometimes if the employees are aggrieved, right, they can also go to the court of law, right, for the settlement of their demands. But uh, mostly, calculation of the profit is the first step of carrying out this profit sharing scheme. So it is administered after the uh, accounting year closes and the gross profit net profit of the organization is declared. Right? So here we do have one of the most important aspect of this profit sharing scheme is the payment of Bonus Act 1965. What are the provisions related to the payment of Bonus Act 1965 is there? Let us talk of that. Mostly, now before 1965, the payment of bonus was a choice for the employees, right? But Payment of Bonus Act made the employers liable, statutorily liable for the payment of bonus, right? In the concerned establishment. Right? We will talk of the various principles through which this payment of bonus can be administered, or is there a specific formula for the calculation of bonus is there, right? And the amount what it should be distributed, minimum amount of bonus, maximum amount of bonus, and like if the organizations do not have enough money, right? So in that case, they can also set it on or set it off for the process, right? And there should be a machinery for enforcement of this liability, right? Payment of bonus. Machinery in the sense that whether you are going for a standard reverse settlement procedure or if at all there are disputes related to bonus. So whether you are referring to it to the labor courts, tribunals or national tribunals, right? That is what that declares. So the important provisions, as I said, this profit sharing scheme or this bonus has to be paid out of the profit only. So determination of the gross profit is the first step towards the calculation of bonus itself, right? And we do have three terminologies. One is gross profit, second one is available surplus, third one is allocable surplus. Second step is, first step is to find out the gross profit. Second step is to go for the calculation of available surplus. Available surplus is the surplus which is available for the payment of bonus, right? So how do we calculate? We say gross profit minus the expenses made by the organization in few categories like remuneration to the partners, proprietors, right? Then this return of 8.5% on equity capital, 6% on reserves, right? So any such kind of depreciations that happens through the Income Tax Act, developmental rebate or investment allowance, all the sorts of direct taxes, indirect taxes, and dividends paid or paid. So when we subtract all of these from the gross profit, whatever is available, right, that should be paid to the worker as the bonus. Right? But again, one more thing. allocable surplus is the actual amount that has to be distributed among the workers, employees. So it is said that for those organizations who have already made the provision for the payment of dividends or who have already paid the dividends to its investors, right? So for them, the 67% of the available surplus will be the allocable surplus. But for rest of the organizations, okay, it's where they have not made the provisions for the payment towards the dividends, 60% of the available surplus will be given as a allocable surplus. Right? So three things you need to remember over here: calculation of gross profit, calculation of available surplus, calculation of allocable surplus. Right? After deducting it from the gross profit, then taking right either 67% or 60% of the available surplus will be given as the allocable surplus. Allocable surplus is what that should be distributed among the workers as bonuses. So here you need to understand certain other aspects of the things like section 8 says who can actually get this bonus. Now anyone who has worked for minimum 30 working days, right, in an entire year will be eligible for the bonus. So if someone has worked for 30 working days in the entire year, then that particular person can make himself eligible for the bonus. Right? But less than 30 working days, no bonus can be administered. Right? Section 9 says who can be disqualified to get that bonus. Here it says that anyone who can be dismissed from the service for the payment of this bonus is like anyone who is involved in any kind of fraud activities, righteous activities, right, or has exhibited any kind of violent activities, right, in the premises of that particular establishment, right, or the person has been convicted of threat, misappropriation, or sabotage of any property of the establishment, right? So, an employee who has worked for 30 working days is eligible to get the bonus, and the employee who has been convicted with this fraud, traitors, violent behavior, no, misappropriation of the articles, theft, sabotage, so they are to be deprived of this bonus itself. Section 11 and 12 deals with the purpose of this bonus. It says that irrespective of profit or loss, irrespective of profit or loss, whether there is allocable surplus or not, but each and every employee must get certain bonus for that, right? So it is said that the minimum amount of bonus which have to be taken into consideration is 8.33%, and the maximum amount of bonus which can be taken into consideration is 20%, depending on the allocable surplus, right? But sometimes, right, if the allocable surplus is more than that is what required for the payment of bonus at the maximum 20%, right? So can I pay them at 25% or 30%? I cannot, because the law says maximum bonus that I can have is 20%, right? So if the allocable surplus, by considering the 20% rate for all the workers, if the allocable surplus is more than that, right, that means there are certain balance fund for this payment of bonus are to be carried forward to the next accounting year. If it is more than that, right? So if the next accounting year, again same situation will happen. And the other case you to say, if the allocable surplus is less than what is required, so there will be shortage. Right? So to bridge these problems of shortage of allocable surplus or the higher amount of availability of allocable surplus, the process has to be set on or set off till the fourth accounting year. That means it can be carried forward up to the completion of the third accounting year. If the allocable surplus is more than that of the amount required, so the left out amount will be carried forward up to the fourth. Similarly, if the allocable surplus is less than that of the required surplus, where I cannot make the payment to the workers for all the workers, so it can be set off to the next accounting year. Can be calculated in this accounting year, but may so happen that it will be paid some or other latter years. So the concept of set on and set off is to ensure that workers do get this bonus on continuous basis and consistent basis, irrespective of the profit or loss of the organization. Certain other provision says that these newly set organizations, they are exempted from the payment of bonus, but till what time? Till the first batch of the goods or services produced by the organization and is sold in the market, right? Or till the date they, or from the date of inception to 6 years maximum, whatever is lesser, lower shall be taken into consideration. Right? So either they will go for 6 years following the first time they have produced this goods and services, right? Can get the exemption of that. And when it comes to distribution of bonus, like it says that the distribution of bonus should be there within 8 months from the closure of the financial year, accounting year, right? Because everything has to be calculated on profit. So after 31st, this March, right, when the new accounting year begins. So from that, 8 months. So April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. So mostly you'll see that this bonus are normally administered in the month of October or November, which is 8 months from the closure of the accounting year, right? And towards the end, uh, we do have this ESOPs, employee stock option plans. Now, question is why do we think of this particular plan? This is the like, most recent, no, incentive administration plan, which has been there, right? This is a restricted plan, not open for all the employees of the organization. But it says that few such employees can be issued with the company's share, right, at the market price or at the original price, and as the share value of the organization increases, grows, right? These employees, workers can really take the advantage of that and can earn a huge amount of money out of that, right? Besides, if I do think of this ESOPs, the organizations are really facing a problem of retaining their employees. That is there because organizations nowadays have failed to develop that no fail to develop that sense of loyalty, commitment, ownership towards the organization. What can be done then? How can I really develop that level of ownership among the workers? Most of the time, they do come to the office with a mindset that we are going to the job, we are going to the organization, right? And whenever we do work for the organization, we receive certain amount as is defined. But if these workers will be issued with that company's shares, they will feel that they are also an integral part of the organization, as we can say that they are also the owners of the organization, right? They're the shareholders of the organization or owners of the organization. So that will develop a sense of loyalty, belongingness, commitment towards the organization, right? And the organization can really capitalize those things, right? Stock option plans are also administered to retain the employees because the basic aspect of these stock option plans are defined. So if you say what is the condition, if you are issued with certain shares at a lower price than that of the market price, you cannot sell those shares for a period of 3 years, right? So what it takes that when you are a company, you are the shareholder of a company, and it takes 3 years time to sell your shares, right? So definitely with the intention of getting more and more money, because your money is only invested in that particular share, right? So you put your efforts, and at the same time you sustain there in the organization on a long term. So retention of the employees can be there. It can help in motivating the employees to perform better. Motivational aspects, inner drives, inner desires can be fulfilled only through this, ESOPs. Right? Promotes team efforts, organizational productivity, right? And mostly this ESOPs are like a tool to brand the organization. So when we do talk about this organizational branding or the employer branding process, we'll say that this ESOPs are being administered for that purpose, right? Say, giving an example of that, how does it is calculated? Like, suppose organization issues, say 100 shares in your name, what you can sell it after 3 years only, right? Organization issues these 100 shares at a much higher market price. If the market price is say 100 rupees, right? Maybe the organization will issue these shares at 50 rupees, right? So if you are liable to get some 5,000 rupees bonus, right? And 100 shares are issued to you at 50 rupees, right? Now what would happen at a minimum, like minimum level, if you do say that the share values don't grow. So after 3 years, right, the amount that has been invested must have gone for a higher, slab of the payment, right? Even not, you can sell that at the market price, which is 100 rupees. So at least you're gaining if like 100% of what you are investing. Right? So same 100 shares at 100 rupees, 10,000 rupees is what that you are going to get out of that. Assuming the share value doesn't grow at all, right? But assuming that the share value grows at a minimum of 10%, 20%, whatever it may. Let us assume 20%, right? So first year, your share value will grow at 20%. So 100 plus 20, 120. Second year, let us assume same 20% growth. So 120 का 20% अगर हम निकलेंगे, so that will come as 144, right? If we do talk of the third year, right? So the price of the share which grows at 20% even, so you are getting the shares to be sold at 170, 180 rupees. So what you have purchased it at 50 rupees, you can sell that share at 170 rupees. So each share you are getting a huge amount. So 100 shares at 170 rupees. So 17,000, 18,000. So instead of getting a bonus of say 5,000 rupees, if your money is invested in that particular organization for a period of 3 years, right? Now, some of the organizations, they do give a freedom in the sense that a part of your shares can be sold, right? In between, otherwise the restricted time frame is allotted, right? So it is an opportunity to make the employees to earn a huge amount of money. At the same time, that will develop the basic sense of ownership, loyalty, commitment towards the organization. Right? So these are the incentive schemes which are like available for the organizations, right? And the organizations can customize their own incentive scheme, and like most of the organizations, they related to this ESOPs, right? They don't administer it for all the employees. So they say it's restricted stock option plan. Some of the organizations, they say it's stock purchase plans, employee stock purchase plans, right? Restricted stock purchase plans. So something like that. So different nomenclatures can be utilized, can be used, and as per your requirement, you can bring certain changes in the base aspect of the things. You can design your own compensation strategies for that, right? So let us end it over here, and for tomorrow we'll discuss the basic aspects of this compensation, what we can like implement to motivate the employees, to provide them job satisfaction, and towards the end we'll also see that how this compensation strategies can also be implemented for designing these overall organizational strategies. So let us end it over here for today, and we'll meet once again tomorrow to discuss the final aspects of this compensation and reward management. So thank you very much for attending this session. We'll meet tomorrow to discuss. Thank you.